Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We are broadcasting live today because there have been some very exciting developments related to the COVID-19 vaccine and specifically with children. So as you may already know, the FDA has approved the emergency use of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 12 to 15. And since that, earlier in the week, the CDC has recommended, the American Academy of Pediatrics has recommended it, and yes, children's experts are recommending it as well. So we are talking to Dr. Melissa St. Germain today. Hi, Dr. St. Germain.
Hi.
Because we know that parents, community members, kids in this age group, you have a lot of questions, rightfully so, thoughtful questions about the vaccine safety, its efficacy, and we're hearing a lot of this. How do I get my child vaccinated? So we have many of those answers we want to share today. We also want to take your questions. So as we go, if you're not hearing an answer you are curious about, please put those in the comments below, your questions, and we will do our best to get to them either during our chat or after the fact. So I also want to give your official title, Dr. St. Germain. She's our Vice President and Medical Director of Children's Physicians. You're a pediatrician at our West Village Point office. And also, just for good measure, you're a mom of 3. And I believe, is one of your children 12?
He is, yes. And he is very excited to get this vaccine, believe it or not. He was, the first thing he said, I said, we're going to get you your vaccine in the next week. And he said, oh, I'll be able to see my friends again. So it's an exciting day and an exciting week around my house as well.
Yeah, this is long awaited. And I guess just to start, what is children's position on this? And is this vaccine safe and effective for this age group?
Yes, and those are great questions, great place to start, because there have been a lot of changes in the last week. The FDA made their recommendation on Monday, and then the ACIP, which is part of the CDC, met and made their recommendation on Wednesday, headed, by the way, by Dr. Jose Romero, who used to be one of our children's infectious disease specialists. So they have met and really looked at all the data that came from these Pfizer vaccine studies. There were about 2,200 kids enrolled between ages 12 and 15 in this Pfizer vaccine study. And the data was very, very impressive coming out of that study. No one who got the vaccine got COVID or tested positive for COVID after they were immunized. So there was 100% vaccine effectiveness in that age group. Now, what we expect will happen as we get more people vaccinated is it'll look more like the adult data, where about 90–95% effectiveness for this vaccine. But in the trial, the data was very, very encouraging. And the side effects that we've seen with the vaccine are similar to what we see in adults. Some kids get the fever, the muscle aches, the headaches, just kind of feel a little bit off and tired for a day or two. And the swollen lymph nodes, that's one that's a little bit different than most vaccines, but we do see an increase incidence of swollen lymph nodes in that day or two after. And generally you can feel lymph nodes here and sometimes here, a couple other places, but those little lumps and bumps that'll sometimes show up a day or two after vaccine are pretty normal. The lymph nodes are your body's immune system, part of your body's immune system that produces that response. So that's a sign that it's working.
So let's just dive into the practical piece too. If I'm like, you don't need to sell me on this, I want to sign my child up, this just in, how do they do that?
Yes. So you can call your child's pediatrician. If you're with children's physicians, all of our staff know our process and have those schedules available for us to schedule. You can also call 402-955-SHOT. That is the dedicated line to sign up for COVID vaccine clinics. And through children's physicians, we have clinics that will start on May 19th. We have, I think, 4 of them scheduled that week, the 19th, 22nd, 23rd, and 26th. We're really going to try to get as many people through as we can. Those will be drive-through vaccine clinics. Some of our patients were lucky enough to experience these last fall with our flu vaccine clinics. They really work fantastic. We have a little tent set up outside. We have our nurses out there. You drive up and they'll tell you exactly where to park. We'll give vaccine in the car when it's possible. Otherwise, you'll kind of walk up and do it outside. And then you sit in your car for 15 minutes because everyone needs to be monitored for 15 minutes after they get their COVID vaccine. And when your timer goes off you go. And we'll be able to do as many kids in the car as are eligible. So all of your teenagers, load them all in, bring them all at once.
So this seems pretty easy and convenient. I guess that was my next question. Like, if I can get it at another, clinic somewhere, a county clinic or something, why children? So the drive-through is unique.
Drive-through is huge. And we will be able to input it directly into your medical record. Now, our medical record does talk to the state. So if you get it somewhere else, we will have access to those records too. But it's awfully nice to have everything within your medical home, within your medical record. And for the patients who have more questions that they want to talk to their doctor about, or already have a well visit scheduled and want to be able to do their COVID vaccine at the same time, we will have that capability as well.
And plus, I feel like there's something about getting the vaccine from people who are always working with kids. It's just a different experience.
Our nurses are fantastic at giving shots.
Yeah. What is this? We talked a little bit about the science, but what else would you say about why you're so confident if someone has questions, why you're so confident about the safety of this?
Yes, because we've gotten some questions. I mean, 2,200 patients is a little bit on the small side in terms of what we normally see for these vaccine efficacy trials. And that's because it's a public health emergency and they were trying to balance safety and speed in terms of getting this vaccine out and available. But we also have the benefit of the 260 million doses of Pfizer vaccine that's been given to adults and older teenagers. And the vaccine manufacturers as well as the CDC have been monitored really closely in terms of vaccine side effect reports that have come in after, even after the trials are completed. There's a new system to monitor those called vSafe, which you'll learn about when you bring your kids in for their COVID vaccines, where you can report any side effects, whether or not they are related to the COVID vaccine. So we've got really good data from that too.
So speaking of side effects, Monica from Instagram had asked, are there any long-term effects that may be a possibility for my 12-year-old? So what do we know about those long-term effects? Again, like you said, it's this balance.
Right, and it's harder to know what we're going to see 5 years down the road. The mRNA technology that's in Pfizer vaccine and Moderna vaccine has been around for about 10 years. It hasn't been used in any of the other big vaccines that we give to everybody. It's been used in Ebola vaccine, but it's not a brand new technology. It's been studied and it's been around for several years. So we have good good theoretical data. We don't have obviously real world data of what this looks like a year or two down the road, but we don't have any reason to think that there will be any side effects that will crop up.
And just to reiterate, we had a question from Facebook. When did the clinic start for vaccines? Children start next Wednesday. So the 19th.
May 19th. Yes.
And then on the weekend. And again, it's just drive up. And the website, if you want to open up another browser, it's childrensomaha.org/COVID vaccine. And you can find all the details. And then again, the numbers to call to get it scheduled. And this is, I think, it's literally just opened this afternoon. So
yes,
you are on it. You're watching right now. What do you think this means for summer and next school year as well?
So that's an interesting point. The CDC also came out with some new guidance today saying that people who are vaccinated can do more stuff, right? They can get together with other vaccinated people. So that makes a huge difference in your kids' ability to see other kids this summer, to do some of the things like camps. Now, it is still in everyone's best interest if they're in big groups to be masked and to try to do 6 foot distance when it's possible. And that's still going to continue to be important this summer, even next school year. But we are able to be more flexible and a little bit more relaxed with those rules when we have everyone vaccinated, especially when we get to that 80+% immunization rates where we can start to see some herd immunity.
So this one came from Jess. She asked, is the dosage for vaccines typically the same for adults and kids? And in the case of this one, so for COVID-19, is there a different dose for the kids or is it different in any way from the Pfizer that the adults are getting?
Good question. So the Pfizer COVID vaccine is the same for everybody right now, 12 and up, whether you're 12 or whether you're 85, you're going to get the same dose, 2 doses, 3 weeks apart. It will look the same for everybody. As they're starting to do clinical trials in the younger kids, the 6 month to 11 year age group, they are doing a couple of different dosing variations within the study group. So they'll look and see, do kids respond as well to a lower dose? Can they get a lower dose? And that data won't obviously be available until the fall. But they've demonstrated that at least for 12 and up, everybody gets the same dose, and that works well.
Good question. So another, question that we heard a little bit was, why does my child really need to get this if kids don't get as sick? And I know that's like a misconception. We've like tried to push back on at Children's a lot during the pandemic, that they do get sick. It is different. So how would you answer that? This whole like, okay, that's great, but do they really need it?
They do. And you're right. The older you are, the more likely you are to have severe COVID disease. But that doesn't mean that kids don't get it, and that doesn't mean that kids don't get sick with it. They just looked at the data from 2020 in terms of COVID deaths in kids under the age of 18. There were about 500 deaths in kids under age 18 due to COVID last year, so about 1 a day. And that actually put it in one of the top 10 causes of death in teenagers in 2020. And so that's a lot of kids, and that's a lot of kids that we can protect and that we can keep out of harm's way by giving them this vaccine. We also have to consider, even looking at morbidity as opposed to mortality, which is death, is that there are a significant number of kids who get COVID who get the long COVID, who get the 3 to 6 months and maybe even longer of not quite getting back to their normal respiratory status, still having trouble breathing when they engage in sports, still maybe having some heart inflammation, still not able to taste or smell anything for months afterwards. And yes, those kids are still functioning, but not as well as they were before. And if we can prevent that from happening with this vaccine, absolutely, we should be doing that for everybody.
So this was kind of a related question. What percentage of positive cases are in this age group right now? So that 12 to 15.
It varies between about 15 and 20%. The other thing we know about younger populations is they're more mobile. Our 70-year-olds don't tend to go out to the bars and to the restaurants and things like that. And so we've seen higher levels of infection in especially 15 to 35-year-olds because they are going to school and sports and restaurants and things like that. So those are really a key part of the population that we need to get vaccinated.
One mom asked, do we need to be concerned about our kids with allergies?
That's a very good question. So in general, no. There are no contraindications to getting this vaccine, meaning everyone can get it unless they've had a reaction to an ingredient in the vaccine before, basically. There have been, I just looked this up, there have been 21 cases in the United States of anaphylaxis after a COVID vaccine. So people having trouble breathing, getting hives. That's 21 cases out of the, 262 million doses that have been given in the United States so far. So that's way less than 1 in 100,000 cases of that happening. And most of the time that's been in people who have a history of anaphylaxis. And so people who are, for instance, allergic to a food, usually carry an EpiPen with them. We want you to have your if you have an EpiPen, bring it with you. But that's one of the other benefits to having it done at our clinic is we know how to deal with anaphylaxis if it were to happen, but it is a very, very rare side effect. The thing I was going to say about that. In terms of any other contraindications to getting the vaccine, if a child has had that MIS-C, one of those complications of COVID, the recommendation is that they wait 90 days before getting their COVID vaccine. And certainly if your child has a special medical need like that, we're happy to answer those questions. Feel free to call us. But almost everybody else with a chronic disease, it's recommended that they get the vaccine.
So we also just had a question about immunocompromised children. Should they get vaccinated? And of course, we heard about children with congenital heart disease, and there's so many, kids with chronic conditions and really complex situations that we see here at Children. So if they have any doubt, what would you recommend?
Just call us. But in general, the answer is going to be yes. And the specialists with the ACIP and with the CDC have all come to that conclusion as well, that the potential harm from getting COVID is less than any potential harm from getting that vaccine.
We had another question. We're talking about 12 to 15-year-olds are in the spotlight this week, but someone asked, when does the trial for 12 and under start? And of course, Children's is really excited to be involved in that work. Can you kind of give an update on what that is and where it stands?
Yeah, so our partnership with the Child Health Research Institute, CHRI through UNMC, is going to be recruiting for that vaccine trial within the next couple of weeks. And we hope to start those study visits in June, and they'll run through August. So, and that's what most of the sites around the country are doing, is summer is when they're going to be running the study and collecting the data. And then hoping to wrap those up by August, September, so that we can put all that data together and have a recommendation for the younger kids.
Okay, this is probably unfair to ask on the heels of that question, but do you think like fall, winter? I mean, if I'm like watching this, I'm like, well, great, I have a 7-year-old.
I know.
I mean, any idea when that might be?
Fall, winter is about as close as I can get.
Okay.
I've heard some of the other experts, some say not till after January, and some are saying September. So I'm gonna go in the middle and say October, November. That's my hope.
And we just want to clarify, you said, that the potential harm from COVID is greater than the harm of the vaccine. Is
potential harm of the vaccine? Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So many good questions. We want to kind of pivot back to just this practical piece of, if you go to children'somaha.org/COVID vaccine, you get all the info about the drive-through vaccine, you call, you get signed up. What is that experience going to be like for the family who has an appointment to drive through? Yeah,
that's the beauty. It'll be very well marked. We've got we will have lanes set up in the parking lot and lots of people out there to direct you to where to go. But basically you'll drive up. Most of the time you will have already registered on Children's Connect and checked in on Children's Connect. And you can do that on your phone. The app works great for getting kids checked in ahead of time. And then really you'll just give them your name when you drive up, and they'll direct you into kind of the front part of the line, and then give the vaccine, and you wait for 15 minutes, make sure you're not having any side effects, and then you're on your way.
And this is new for everybody. This is a new process. So you did say it's for children's physicians, patients, if you're cared for by one of our specialists, if you've ever been hospitalized at Children's Hospital and Medical Center. For now, that's who this is for. But if I don't fall in that bucket and yet I'm watching this and I want to get my child signed up, what can I do?
Probably the easiest thing, if your child's never been to Children's Hospital or Children's Physicians, there is a registration process that's a little lengthy. We can certainly walk kids through it, but it might be easier to look for the other opportunities that are available in the community. So all of the Douglas County mass vaccine clinics, they've held some at Creighton, they've held some at several different places. All of those will be able to vaccinate ages 12 and up now, as well as some of the pharmacies that are stocking COVID vaccine will be able to vaccinate kids 12 and up as well.
And let's be clear, we want kids to get vaccinated and protected, but the experience of a drive-through and pediatric expertise is going to be likely a better experience. Yeah. So check it out. It's that children'somaha.org / COVID vaccine if you'd like more information. We talked about a little bit of what's next for that younger age. Mm-hmm. Anything else you would like to say? Any other questions that you're getting that I haven't asked, that our community hasn't asked from your patient families about this?
I think we covered them all, Sarah. You have a good list.
I know, they've been coming in hot. I know our offices have been getting a lot of great questions as well. So
we're just so excited that it's finally time for these kids to be able to get vaccinated, and for us to be able to help with this effort. We've, at Children's, we've helped out with the county efforts in several different ways, but we're really excited that we are able to add this to our the way we're serving our community.
Yeah, and families who are who might have a Children's Connect account, the online patient portal. If you haven't already, you should be getting in the next couple hours a message with all the details. Kate, we were wrapping up, but we have a really, really good question I want to add in here. What about getting other vaccines? Do we need to wait 14 days before or after? That is an excellent question.
Oh, good. I'm glad somebody brought that up because I had
Yeah.
forgotten about that. That was another change that was made during that ACIP meeting that happened yesterday.
Okay.
So previously the guidance was that COVID vaccine should be given at least 14 days from any other vaccine. Now, yesterday, when they went through all the data from the Pfizer study and when they all talked through the details of this, that recommendation was taken away. So it's now okay to get your COVID vaccine when you come in for your well visit and you need other shots. It's okay to do those at the same time.
Oh, that makes it nice and easy. All right. Well, thank you so much, not only for your time and expertise, but really your advocacy in the community on this topic.
Well, thanks so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to families, because I want everyone to feel comfortable with this vaccine, and I want everyone to feel like their questions have been answered. So keep reaching out to us, and we'll help any way we can.
And I'm going to try that website one more time. It's children'somaha.org/COVID vaccine. And so that's where you're going to find out all the dates, the locations of those drive-through clinics. You're going to have phone numbers to call. You can either call the pediatrician's office or you can call 402-955-SHOT and find a time to get your child 12 through 15 or older vaccinated. So we're very excited. Thank you again, Dr. St. Germain. Thank you for joining us, and take care, everybody.
Thanks, Sarah.